Welcome back to Thrawn's Revenge. Last time we dealt with the New Republic fleet because they allowed us to. They split it up into 2 or 3 groups, and one by one we just attacked the groups, rampaging through their space and took them all out for no losses. We also started taking some of their planets just because we could. That didn't go quite so smoothly, but was successful in the end. And finally we defended against some pentastar raids using some space stations to get some free victories. We're just going to continue raiding New Republic space for now, since they're not stopping us yet. Here's Hoth. The interesting thing about Hoth is that it seems to snow, even in space. It's that snow-themed of a location. Made me wonder if such a thing was actually possible. Maybe if like an ice asteroid exploded or something, you get a snow-like effect. But anyway, as for the fight, there was nothing here, so we just moved into some stations and took them down. We're not going to bother going for the ground here. I'm leaving my ground army back up in the first couple of places we took just to defend. We're really just looking for enemy ships to destroy to weaken the New Republic. And we're not going to stop at Hoth, might as well just go right on and attack the next place. And here we actually find what I was looking for. It seems to be the last bit of the New Republic fleet that initially attacked us, with their commander in his gigantic Home 1 type thing, with another Home 1 type thing as well. I think those Home 1 type cruisers are more powerful than anything we have. However, we do have numbers on our side when it comes to capital ships, and at first at least we have a formation advantage because the enemy are sort of in a vertical column, so we can attack their leading ships first. I quickly take out an assault frigate. You can also see they've got an Imperial Star Destroyer on their side. Looks like we've got some defectors. There is something in the game, I think, where you can capture ships, because sometimes in the tooltip it says can be captured by boarding crews. So maybe there's a unit that someone could make to capture ships in battles. Haven't managed to find it for myself. Now, as you can possibly tell here, the enemy's formation ended up getting an advantage over the left end of my line, and I'm forced to start telling my ships to go backwards as their shields are depleted. Meanwhile, we have a similar advantage on the left end of their line, so I'm trying to focus down that Home 1 type thing. We have now destroyed its shields, its weapons will quickly be toast, and then the whole thing goes down. But a couple of my ships are now in a little bit of a dangerous spot. 2 of them have lost their shields. One of the Syndics, our main capital ship class things, has taken damage on its weapons, so it's starting to lose effectiveness. I'm going to quickly focus down the Imperial Star Destroyer. It's only a Type 1, so we can overwhelm it and destroy it relatively fast. Then we turn around to face all this Mon Calamari stuff. They've got 2 regular cruisers, the Republic's equivalent of a Star Destroyer, and I'm going to try and kill them very quickly while having my fighters start weakening their main capital ship under their commander by going for the shields with their bombs. Although, I don't believe you can bomb through shields like you can in the base game. So attacking things with bombers isn't quite as effective as it is in the base game, but still, it's doing the job. The enemy shields are depleted and their generator is down, so now that guy can sit being weak in the corner while we finish off the Mon Calamari cruiser here, and it's not going to have a very good time as we swarm it with everything. Now we just need to focus down the big boy. It wasted some time sailing away and then sailing back while its guns were not able to fire at us, so we had a little bit of a break there, and when it finally comes to everything we have versus just it, we'll be able to win that engagement without any serious damage being taken. So there we go. That's probably the last part of the New Republic's main fleet absolutely annihilated. We do still need to capture the space, so let's go take out the space stations on the map. It was somewhat defended, this corner. They've got one of the defense platforms, and they had a couple of assault frigates, which are pretty beefy, but overall not posing much of a threat, and they even retreated so we didn't have to face that defense platform. Very kind of them. A great battle overall. It says we lost an Ascendancy class Star Destroyer, but what actually happened is I did the emergency jump, and it actually happened this time. Someone mentioned in the comments to the first video that it could be if your main engines are disabled, you can't use the hyperdrive, and that may be what it is. So this time the jump actually happened. Don't know how long it took to charge up because I wasn't paying attention. The issue is I didn't know where it jumped. I thought maybe it just jumps to the nearest allied or friendly territory, but actually it seems to jump to somewhere random, so it's jumped all the way back up here on the other side of the galaxy. That was a big jump. So I thought, well, this guy can go join the second fleet since he's too far from anything. And speaking of that second fleet, we're going to start making attacks now, because I want to capture this little corner of the galaxy up here, just because it'll make our territory neater. At the same time, our main fleet is going to look for New Republic targets. Not going to go after that white faction just because I'm on an anti-New Republic binge at the moment. And here we go, someone's going to resist us up here at the top of the map. It's just a Victory-class Star Destroyer, so nothing too much to worry about. For whatever reason, they're going wild on these asteroids. You can see on the mini-map, you've got these purple asteroids that are supposedly in the rogue third faction that both sides need to kill, so we'll not fall behind. Let's take down those asteroids. There we go. These guys we're fighting, by the way, are Zinj's Empire. They're called something like that. It's just another bit of the Empire ruled by an officer called Zinj, or something like that. Nothing too exciting. Anyway, as for the fight, it was really easy because this fleet has the Peltus Star Destroyer, the one that looks like a giant sword that just shoots really far. It can shoot when it's off the screen and the enemy can't even see you. And it can easily take down these lesser ships' shields in one hit and then blow up the hardpoints from a distance. So not much came of that fight. At Bespin, the New Republic have annoyingly rebuilt their light frigate shipyard. I decided to auto-resolve, always a dangerous thing, but luckily the game was nice and didn't give me any losses, so now we'll go to the east in search of more targets. Back up here we've got another bit of space to capture. Looks like it is defended, but it wasn't defended very hard. It was just a few barely visible Corellian corvettes of the New Republic style for whatever reason. It's also snowing in space again for whatever reason. They did actually try to retreat, by the way, at the start of the fight, so the AI did recognise it couldn't win this battle, but we have an interdictor in the fleet, so we can just make sure they stay and kill them so we don't have to fight them later. Now I'm putting together ground forces to go and secure this new territory from old Jin, but we have actually found some New Republic space forces to attack with our main fleet. It looked like it was a big fleet, but it's a big fleet of small ships, so overall not too much of an issue. They're just spamming the lighter frigates and fighters and some more of those Corellian corvettes. They just charged right at us, so I just formed up where we started and the fight starts. Kind of hard to tell what's going on because so many of the enemy ships are too small to really see from the normal camera angle, but we can rest assured that our capital ships will absolutely annihilate all those tiny Nebulon Bs and the like. We did actually get a couple of our smaller ships into danger. The enemy's assault frigates, which are a bit bigger than them, managed to defeat them in duels on the corner of the fight, but now all of our capital ships turn in to blow up the assault frigates and everything is quickly fine. We then continue on to the other side of the map. There's a space station to bring down, but it's only a level 1 defense platform, so its shields go down instantly, and there go the guns. And then we just need to take out these other assault frigates. They, luckily, were just firing at our big capital ships, which are sufficiently shielded that it doesn't matter, so no more damage was taken. There we go, another blow struck to the New Republic, another bit of their fleet possibly taken down. I'm pretty sure the New Republic now has like nothing left in this area of the map, and it will take them a long time to rebuild things, so I think our revenge has been had. Right away after that fight, we go into another fight. Well, not really a fight. For some reason, there are some troops here. I think the New Republic was already moving them here before we took the space, and now they're forced to arrive into our fleet, and those transport ships will not have a particularly easy time. They just float around and get absolutely annihilated, and here's the cinematic view of it happening. We won, believe it or not. Now, with all that sorted, we're going right into another fight, because, as I said, we need to take the ground up here in the corner, so let's get going with that. The first planet proved to be particularly easy to capture because the enemy just retreated as soon as they could at the start of the battle, so that was good, and it automatically deleted some infantry for us, making life very easy. So that was that. Now we can just go right on and attack the other one with that one in the corner there. We don't need to worry about leaving a garrison or anything. The next planet did provide some resistance in that it had some garrison troops that decided to fight us. A usual rush strategy was all that was needed, but I rushed too much and ended up running into this bunker at fast motion and losing a whole load of infantry there. Although we didn't lose enough to lose an infantry squad, which I think is 5 of the little groups, or infantry platoon I guess that is. 5 squads need to be lost before you've lost a platoon, which means ultimately you don't lose anything. Then we spam vehicles to get rid of the bunker, the infantry come out, and here is the battle for the planet for all intents and purposes. Just a bunch of guys shooting each other in fast motion, and very quickly we win, especially because I sneakily put an anti-infantry turret down in front of their infantry. They had a few buildings across the map that we needed to deal with, but nothing much came of that. So there we have it. Nice and easy, we've captured this corner, and now our Empire's border just looks a little bit nicer since we've got the void of the outside of the galaxy defending our flank. I'm going to split this group up and have the ground forces defend both Anx Minor and Ord Tracy, just in case they get invaded, since they seem to be particular favourite targets, and the main fleet will just sit there. In terms of where we could go from here, there are these long jumps we can make to the east to invade more territory, but I don't want to make them so hastily, because if we did make them, our fleet would take quite a long time to come back. So if we got attacked like at Ord Tracy again, the enemy could potentially keep jumping to the west and get far into our territory before we could react, so I'm going to keep the fleet nearby. With the main fleet, I'm trying to split these fighters off from it, because every time we spawn into battle, these fighters come in with us and they're taking up PopCap and it's annoying. So I'm going to put them in their own group and just send them off somewhere else. I didn't realise you can press Control or something to move whole groups at once, so it was taking a while, and the fact that you have to do that in real time means we get invaded while I was trying to sort that out. This time it's the actual Empire, the Green Empire, so finally they're coming to punish us. And while we've defended Ord Tracy several times already, this time they've actually got a substantial fleet that can overcome our defence platforms. However, as it says, there are also rogue forces coming in. At first I thought, well, that's just going to make things even harder, because I presumed they would spawn where I am, because it's something that just punishes the player. But actually it seems that it punishes the attacker, it spawns in the attacker's location. So another Imperial faction appears, some Purple Empire guys, and they are hostile to the Green Empire guys, so that's going to help us out. They're providing a free rear attack for us. Meanwhile, at the front, the enemy are leading their attack with their hero, and you can see their formation is abysmal. The hero's pretty much coming in on his own, so we can focus him down using our Mega Mazers. I'm also trying to use this rotate ability that these things seem to have. I'm not quite sure how it works, and I couldn't get it to work, but I think in theory you can fire the big guns and then rotate the station to fire the other side's big guns at the same time to get more firepower. But, as I said, I couldn't work out how to do it. Even without that, though, their hero is in trouble. He starts floundering right in front of us, his shields are down, he's losing weapons, and very quickly he's actually going to get taken out. Good stuff. Whatever happens now, we've denied the enemy one of their officers. Another hero's coming in from the right, so we'll start focusing him down as well. We've got these cruisers that are spawning from the capital class shipyard I've built here, so they give us pretty substantial firepower actually, all three of them together, and the fact that when they die you just get another one means that the longer the battle goes on, the more free firepower we're getting, the more free damage we're doing, so we want to drag this out. On the other side of the battle, the purple guys are doing a good job. They've got some of the green Star Destroyers locked down and are gradually destroying them, and being destroyed themselves, because the purple guys are hostile to us, so whichever side dies is ultimately good for us in this situation, but we would prefer that the green guys die because they're not free spawned units. Anyway, their other hero also ends up floundering in front of our defense platforms, and he's going to be in big trouble. Looks like the purples are doing well out there. They take out two, I think, of the green Star Destroyers at the back. That hero guy got taken down while I was looking at that, and now the Empire situation isn't very good. That Victory class thing's going to go down. It's also stuck in between our defense platforms, and I can spam the cruisers at it. You can see the enemy are spamming fighters and bombers all over the place, and we're starting to take damage onto our defensive platforms, but we've done so much damage to the enemy that the advantage is now ours. That Victory class thing goes down, and the other two Star Destroyers start going backwards. Presumably they're going to now engage the purple guys behind them, but we're shooting into the back with our long-range Mega Mazers, meaning by the time they get to that fight, they've already lost their shields and some of their hard points. So, even though it's a 2-on-1, we're going to be able to destroy them from both sides, especially after I push up my cruisers. So those two Star Destroyers do go down in short order. With that done, we still in theory have to take down this purple Star Destroyer, but it's in terrible condition, so that's not a problem anymore. There's one more Empire unit off there to the right, a smaller capital ship class or frigate looking thing. It's going to jump out of here. It's a Victory class, there you go. It jumps out of here, and that means we don't have to fight the purple faction's remaining forces, because they don't really count, they just sort of existed for the purposes of this battle. There we go then. I thought we'd lose that fight when it started, but it's yet another extremely cheeky Star Wars Empire at War defense. There are so many cases in this game where you can just somehow win defensive battles. It's incredibly outrageous. Now I'm going to put my main fleet to defend Ord Tracy, since it seems to be a favourite target. As I do, we actually get attacked next door at Anx Minor by the Pentastar again. This battle was useless because we had no defense platforms, so I just auto-resolved that to a defeat. However, my main fleet's right next door, so they jump in immediately after, before the enemy can do anything. And here's the real battle of Anx Minor. In this case, we've got a ton of capital ships, and they don't, so we just need to do the usual business. The acclimators and munificent things that they had stand zero chance, and that's the end of that. Even had the gravity well on just to make sure they couldn't go away because we're being mean, and that's a few more enemy ships taken out. Now with that done, we're going to focus on a new strategy. Since the Green Empire, the main empire, dared to attack us, Thrawn wants more revenge. She's had enough revenge from the New Republic, pretty sure we've crippled them now. So we're going to go on a rampage up in the middle of the galaxy. Our new strategy is to rampage towards the galactic capital at Coruscant without scouting ahead at all, and just see what happens. I'm inviting disaster perhaps to see if anything difficult happens. Since the game's been pretty easy so far, we'll just go right for the jugular with our fleet and see what happens. Battle number 1 was nothing at all. There was just a frigate shipyard at the Empire's border. Then I'm going to have to jump into this white faction's territory. Not actually sure what that faction is yet. However, in this case, there was nothing there at all, meaning you don't have to fight. So we just continue on to the next place. Again, it's just a light frigate shipyard, the first level shipyard. I thought surely we can safely auto-resolve that, but no, it actually killed one of our corvettes, which we have very few of, so that was annoying. Now on to the next place. This time they've got the maximum level shipyard, the capital class thing, meaning they get all of these free spawned units to defend. They're Dreadnought class cruisers in a confusing twist. Well, it's better than a cruiser class Dreadnought. And while they're somewhat beefy, they go down to our massively concentrated focus firing, and they're respawning, but they won't be for long because we can take out the shipyard, and that battle soon comes to an end. Curiously, at the end, they tried to retreat, but as the timer was just about to hit 0, they cancelled their retreat, so I had to go on and take out all the stragglers. Maybe the Empire was being mean and having a no-step backwards policy or something like that. At least we're nicer here in Empire 2.0 Blue Deluxe Edition. We love retreating because it's better than dying. Perhaps that's the secret to our military victories. We don't die. Anyway, we win the battle in a slower fashion than was desired, with no losses. Now I need to decide which way to go. I was like, how should we get to Coruscant without having to go through too many planets? I'm going to jump over to the right. There's a place that has no space defences, so we'll start there and then move on. Turns out the thing on the map was lying. It doesn't have no shipyard, it has the max level shipyard. Not quite sure why it said it had no shipyard on the map. This is actually Corellia, the place famous for its shipyards, I think, in Star Wars lore, so it makes sense that there would be stuff here. This fight was pretty much the same as the last one. They've got a load of those Dreadnought cruisers, and they've also got defense platforms, making things a bit harder, but because we just focused one of them down and then sort of ignored the other one, it still went the same as the last fight. Once the shipyard was down, they successfully retreated this time, so we didn't have to bother with the other defense platform and their remaining cruisers. Somewhere in the mix, we happened to take out some ground units that must have been there in tiny transports, so that's a nice bonus. Before we can continue on, we get attacked back up at the top of the map. I was trying to see where is this Serendipal place, then remembered it's this place up here that we just took recently. It's Zinj, whatever his name was, and his empire. He's back. I'm just going to give him that space and then immediately counterattack with our second fleet. Those evil asteroids are back at it again on this map, and we're going to show that we mean business by having our Peltis Star Destroyer immediately blow one up. Now that we've intimidated the enemy, they decide, no, we can't take these guys down. They tried to retreat, but we're going to give them the old nope on that one, and just move the fleet into them. Soon enough, their fleet's dead, but actually, as it turns out, somewhere in the not paying attention strategy, we did lose something. The enemy killed one of my corvettes, and I didn't even see it. So that was slightly annoying. Still, the enemy lost plenty more, and we've successfully defended our territory. We just have to rebuild that light frigate thing. Now we're going to jump back to our main fleet, because they have just jumped in to Coruscant. as it turns out, they've only got a level 1 shipyard. The Imperial capital, the capital of the whole galaxy, is actually strangely lightly defended. They've got a few of the defense platforms, but on their own, we've got the firepower to focus them down and just generally not take too much damage. So this was a big disappointment. I was expecting there to be something major here, like a fleet or a super star destroyer I was really hoping for, because I know they are in the game. But we didn't see anything, so there we go. We've intimidated the Empire by capturing the space over the capital. After this I thought, well, let's go to challenge level 2. We've rampaged to the capital. Now we're going to capture the capital. So I'm coming to look for my main army, is up here in the corner. So what I'm going to do is have the army get to the capital without capturing anything on the way. We're just going to raid the capital and occupy it and go through anything we have to go through on the way there. Our second fleet will lead the charge. First we'll just auto-resolve that space station to get rid of it. And as it happens, this second phase to the challenge actually does turn out to be difficult. And we actually do turn out to encounter a super star destroyer, one of those giant things from Return of the Jedi. So I guess we'll get into that next phase of the campaign in the next part.